have you ever wanted to learn a foreign language, but because of your busy schedule at your 9 to 5 job, you just told yourself that it would be absolutely impossible and you just gave up? Well, I'm here to tell you today that it is not impossible to learn a second language, even with a really busy schedule at your 9 to 5 job. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the ultimate blueprint for how to learn foreign languages with a super busy schedule. So if you are ready to upgrade your linguistic skills without having to sacrifice all of your other life responsibilities, just keep on watching. Okay, so first and foremost, we need to talk about your mindset. My mindset? What do you mean my mindset? What does my mindset have to do anything with learning languages? Well, apparently a lot.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
While there isn't a single scientific explanation or study that proves the link between your mindset and your ability to learn foreign languages, based on cognitive science and psychology, one of the biggest reasons why most people give up on language learning is a lack of motivation, setting unrealistic expectations for themselves, being too impatient, or just a lack of consistency. Do you get it now? I personally believe that no matter how talented you are, no matter how skilled you are at learning languages, if you go into language learning with a poor mindset and a really poor attitude, you're going to fail at learning languages. So let's see what you can do to not only shift your mindset, but to also create an optimized environment for language learning. In today's society, where people don't like to wait for anything, where everything is immediate, where you get food delivery right away, where you get Amazon delivery right away, the phrase patience is a virtue is not that popular, but I'm telling you, in order to learn a second language more successfully, you need to develop a long-term approach, and you need to make peace with the fact that you're not going to be fluent by tomorrow. Sometimes I see these YouTube videos of people being like, how I learned French in 30 days, how I became fluent in Spanish in 20 days, how to speak fluent English in 30 days. And I'm just like, why? Why would you want to become fluent in a second language that you never even learned in your whole entire life in a month? Having these really high expectations of yourself just because of what you see from other people online is like the perfect way to have really high expectations, but then fail miserably because you cannot keep up with people online. Let's come back to earth, ignore everything we see other people do online, and let's set some realistic language learning goals for ourselves. I also want to talk a little bit about your daily habits and how you can optimize your time better to learn foreign languages if you have a really busy schedule. So if you're someone who's really busy, you need to start implementing ways into your daily habits where you can immerse yourself into your target language without disrupting your work, your family life, and your other life responsibilities. And the way to do that is to really look at your daily habits and the time slots during your day that you can actually use to practice a foreign language, to listen to your target language, to read in your target language. And one of these time slots that you actually do have that could be used to revise and learn a foreign language is all the time you use commuting and doing your household chores. If you're working a 9 to 5 job and you're anything like me, you probably have to commute a whole bunch.
Upwards of, I don't know, like maybe close to 10 times?
Impressive.
I remember when I was working at my old company, I had to commute each day for like 2.5 hours, and it's a lot. So this is why it's so important to not waste all this precious time in a day that we could use to learn.
And this is why in this part I would like to talk about Moft, who I have partnered up with for this video.
Using Moft's products are my favorite ways to learn languages on the go, and their origami-inspired lightweight carry accessories are the best tools for me to increase my efficiency and to keep me motivated, whether I am working or studying. So the two products that I personally use from Moft are the laptop carry sleeve and their invisible tripod. So the laptop carry sleeve is made of vegan leather and has an expandable storage that you can use to store your study materials, like your language books, your pencils, and your charger without feeling like you're carrying too much stuff. The laptop carry sleeve also has 2 angles that you can adjust, so it really supports your spine and helps your posture when you're writing your essay or homework. And my other favorite item from Muffed is their invisible tripod, which is the quickest, smallest, and most versatile tripod that I have ever seen or used. So I personally like to use the invisible tripod on the train to watch TV series on Netflix with subtitles, and also at home while I'm doing my household chores. Household chores are not something that any of us can escape. Like, we all have to cook and wash our clothes at some point, but these are tasks that take up so much of our time. So I personally use the invisible tripod as a stand when I'm doing the dishes or cooking, to listen to a podcast or a language learning video on YouTube about French or Korean. Also, in case you get too absorbed in your podcast, you can also use the invisible tripod as a timer to help you remind you when it's time to finish cooking or reading a recipe. And as a content creator in France, I also really like to record my study content and vlog in French, but sometimes I'm quite shy to record on the street with other people. But since the Muffed invisible tripod is so slim and invisible, it really helps me to vlog outside, to do my French vlogs outside. In either way, integrating language learning into your daily boring activities like household chores, commuting, or your breaks is so important and is so useful in order to continuously expose yourself to your target language. If you want to use this method as well to accelerate your language learning, I really recommend Muffed's different phone and laptop stands. So make sure to check out their website, and they also have a discount code for you guys that you can use to get 10% off of anything on Muffed's website. So make sure to check out the description box down below. And with that said, let's get back to the video. I want to talk a little bit about how to set good, realistic, achievable language learning goals for yourself. So first of all, you need to assess your current level. Is this your first time learning this language? Have you ever learned it before? You can even take a language proficiency test to really test your level and see where you are, so that you know your capabilities, you know what you can do, you know what you can't really do, but just be really realistic about your current level in this target language. Second of all, I need you to set concrete, tangible goals. I need you to be as specific as you can be. Don't just say that,
oh, I want to be fluent in French by next year.
Say something like, I want to be B2 in French by next year, November. Setting really concrete goals for yourself really helps you to measure the process, to stay on track, and to not give up language learning after 2 weeks because you don't even really know what you're aiming for. Third thing is to be extremely honest about your schedule and about the amount of time and energy you can actually sacrifice to learn this language. After coming home from work, do you think that you're capable of sitting down for an hour and revise? Do you think that you're capable of only reading something in your target language for 30 minutes? Just be really honest with yourself about how much you actually want to learn this language and how much energy you're actually willing to put into it, because that's how you will not get disappointed in your own self if you don't live up to your own high expectations. When it comes to how to learn effectively a second language after coming home from work, we need to talk about scheduling. Scheduling and your calendar are gonna be your best friend. You need to take out your calendar, you need to use Google Calendar, you need to use something to remind you that it's time to learn. After coming home from work, set a timer, set a schedule, set an appointment with yourself for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, as much as you can do realistically, and put it there. Put it in your Google Calendar. I think it's also a really good idea to combine your hobbies with language learning. So if you're someone who is not really into that traditional way of learning languages, like learning from a textbook, like memorizing words with a flashcard, but you really want to get into a new foreign language, I think it's also a great way to find ways to combine your hobbies with this new target language. If you're someone who is really into books, you can maybe read a book or a magazine or online articles, or even like a children's books in your new target language. Or if you're into music, you can create a playlist of songs in your target language, and you can even look up the lyrics and look up translations. If you're like me and you're really into TV shows or you're really into films, you can just watch TV shows and films in your target language. You can start watching them with subtitles and then gradually without subtitles if you're already a bit more advanced. I also want to share another secret with you. you, and that is to use voice records to learn new words. If you're someone who is very auditory, if you're someone who learns really easily by hearing words or phrases, or you're just more auditory than any other learning type, learning new words by recording yourself saying them out loud is actually a really good way to build your vocabulary and to learn new words in your target language. Repetition is how our brain learns. If you think about how you acquired your mother language, it was all based on repetition. You just constantly heard your mom, your teachers, your family, your parents, your sisters repeating phrases and words to you in your mother language, and eventually your brain just picked it up somehow. So recording yourself saying out words in your target language with the translation, I think, is a great way to build your vocabulary. To do that, you can use things like the Parrot app, or you can even just use like the voice memo on your phone, but this is just another trick that you can use to learn foreign languages kind of on an unconscious, passive way if you're someone who's really busy. Okay, so now that you know how to make the best use of your weekdays, we also need to talk about your weekends. Our precious weekends, the only time we actually get to do what we really want to do. When it comes to learning languages while working a 9-to-5 jobs, your weekends are going to be a crucial time period for you that you will probably have to sacrifice/dedicate. It all depends on how you look at it. To intensive language learning. Intensive language learning is defined by a focused and concentrated effort to acquire language skills in a relatively short period of time. Intensive language learning is an extremely useful way of acquiring foreign languages, especially if you don't have a lot of time on your hands during your week to study regularly. Intensive language learning is also great for people who really struggle with motivation, because when you learn languages in a rapid, intensive manner, you can really see your progress relatively quickly, which makes you want to learn more and keep on track and keep going and just not give up. So if you want to use your weekends to study a foreign language in an intensive way, I would say first of all, set a clear specific goal for what you want to achieve each weekend. This could be anything like memorizing 100 new words in your target language by the end of the weekend, or advancing in 1 or 2 or 3 grammar lessons in your textbook. Whatever your goal is and whatever method you choose, just make sure that you reserve some uninterrupted, focused, dedicated time to learn your target language during the weekend, where you're really isolated, tucked away in your room, and you can really just sit down and focus on learning your target language for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, because this is something that you can't really afford yourself to do, unfortunately, during your weeks because you have to work. Another thing I want to say is that if you're someone who is just really struggling with motivation and you're really struggling with learning by yourself alone during the weekends, you're just really tired, you don't feel like doing it, you just want to chill and relax, but at the same time you really want to keep progressing in your target language, I would say sign up for like a weekend intensive language learning course where you can spend 4, 5, 6 hours in a group, or even with like a personal tutor. There are so many weekend intensive language learning courses available these days, even online. You don't even have to go to physical classrooms, and I think it really helps to have a group and a teacher who can help you and motivate you with learning, because sometimes when you have to do everything all by yourself, it's not that much fun. And this brings me perfectly to my next point, which is to find a native speaker somewhere. Whether it's a friend, a pen pal, a personal tutor that I just talked about, or even someone you date, which is sometimes a bit easier because less expensive. Find a native speaker that can help you to practice your target language with. Practicing with a native speaker is great to help you perfect your pronunciation, practice real life conversations. They can also correct your mistakes right away. They can help you understand the cultural differences even better. And just having someone that you can actually practice with as a native speaker can really help you accelerate the development on your language fluency. So I don't care how, but find a native somewhere. I still believe that hiring a personal tutor who is a native speaker is still the best to do this, because if it's a personal tutor, I'm actively paying you to help me, so I can make mistakes as much as I want and I'm not gonna feel uncomfortable, because that's literally actually your job to help me correct my mistakes. Now I also want to talk a little bit about the importance of engaging with your target language's country, basically, for multiple reasons. First of all, I would like to believe that if you decided to learn a second language, it's because of, on some level, you're actually really interested in your target language's country or culture or even history. So I think that you can actually use that interest, that original interest that you had for the country's culture and history to keep yourself motivated on your language learning journey. If you ever find yourself feeling stuck or you feel like you want to give up, I think it's a good idea to keep yourself reminded of the reason why you initially started learning a foreign language. Learning a foreign language is really hard. I just want to assure you here that if you feel like it's really hard and if you feel like giving up, it's quite normal. So if you ever find yourself feeling lost, try to remind yourself why you even started learning this language. If you're really interested in your target language's culture or country, try to engage more with the culture. Maybe try to even visit the country. I truly believe that motivation is not something that you can rely on. Motivation won't get you that far when it comes to learning languages. You really have to want to learn this language. You really have to have a good enough reason why you want to learn it, and keeping yourself engaged with that initial interest by learning more about the culture, reading about the history of your target language's country is a really good way to stay on track and not give up. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to this channel, and a huge thanks again to Muffed for sponsoring this video. You guys can check out all the links down in the description box for their beautiful origami inspired productivity enhancing products, and also for my 10% off discount code. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to learn more about how I am currently learning French all by myself, make sure to watch this video next.